Zionism started as a Zionist fascist coalition. But they dropped the fascism because they thought, yeah, that's kind of tied to Germany and the Holocaust. And since we want to use that to exploit people, we can't do that.
Disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. So Netanyahu was on Fox News recently and was asked that now this is the final stage, that Palestine, Gaza has been completely wiped out. This has been an entire massacre. So this is the end game. This is the end result. Or so they say. So they say. Because if you actually look at the history of this, if you actually look at the Greater Israeli Project and the Zionist cult, which is all related to these actions, why Netanyahu, funded Hamas. We're going to get into that later on. But the reason for all this is not just about Palestine, not just about Gaza. They want to infiltrate this more and more to other parts of the world. So it is devastating for a multitude of reasons. And here's Fox News asking a softballed question, which they already know. They already know the end result. They already know what the answer is going to be. If Benjamin Netanyahu, now that Gaza is completely destroyed, the Palestine region is completely wiped out, is Israel going to take control of Gaza? And you obviously know the answer is yes. Yes. That was the whole intent of this. The whole intent of October 7th, the Nakba, everything in between, was to do a full-wide takeover of the Palestinian territory. So here's Netanyahu on Fox News confirming that answer.
You will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do.
Well, it's a good thing because not only will the Gazans be free of a threat like Hamas that I paid for, but they'll also be free from housing, water, food, air, the necessary things of life, which is why Palestine is so unlivable. They're going to be a free society now that we destroyed everything, that we made it so unlivable and starving them to an extentity that's going to wipe out this population. That is why it's kind of called, what's the word? Genocide. Genocide. And I could say that now because even the IDF soldiers are confirming it's a genocide. The Israeli governments, the people within the Israeli government are reporting it's a genocide. So congratulations, you bloodthirsty Zionist cult followers. You got your wish. You got your wish. But that's not going to stop them from screaming like Karens on social media and threatening to do action to you or censor you or, doing this heinous regard action against people. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They're getting their wish. They're getting their wish. So why do they need to still enact these censorship tactics and blackmail politicians all around the world to be complicit of Israel? They're already getting what they wanted. It's already done. It's because it's not going to stop. It's not just about Palestine. Let's not forget, they went to Syria. They went to Lebanon. They want to go into Jordan. They want to take over parts of Egypt. These are sinister people. Sinister people. If you look at Zionism as a theocracy, it is diabolical. It makes you scared to shit on the mentality of these people. It makes the Ku Klux Klan seem like nice people. That's Zionism for you. And the origins of Zionism is even worse because Zionism started as a Zionist fascist coalition. But they dropped the fascism because they thought, yeah, that's kind of tied to Germany and the Holocaust. And since we want to use that to exploit people, we can't do that. So that's Bibi announcing that it's done. That we're going to take over. Screw you guys. We're doing this. And here's to confirm, this is from an Israeli publication pointing this out. The Times of Israel, Netanyahu said to order full takeover of Gaza despite IDF qualms and risk to hostages. That's right. Your precious hostages. The people that are pro-Israel, pro-Zionists, that scream about this. The people like Michael Rappaport that are screaming about, what about the hostages? What about the hostages? They're starving them. They're keeping them in captivity. They want to execute them to keep this going, to keep this genocide going. That's the whole purpose of this. That's why October 7th was a manufactured attack. Manufactured attack to keep this going. So they could do a full sweep takeover of the Palestinian region. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that in 2 years now, almost 3 years, that they have not took out Hamas, that apparently that's still existing, these people that run this tiny group, but they wiped out everything else Palestinian. Children, mothers, teachers, doctors. It's amazing they attack everybody except Hamas. Almost like they need Hamas to exist to keep their sinister powers and their ability of war to flourish. The same way that America did the same thing with Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Remember, Hillary Clinton admitted this in 2010. So, no wonder why Israel and America make great partners. Why they're the greatest ally. Because they both create terrorist groups. And then inflict that to the rest of the world. To blackmail, to deceive, to diabolically go against humanity. That sounds like a good friend, right? So, senior official close to the PM quoted saying, the die is cast. We are going for a full occupation of the Gaza Strip. Also suggests IDF chief resign if he opposes move. I think a resign is far, far too late now. I think you need more than a resignation to get any sort of support back. I can't think, I would say some suggestions, but of course we are on YouTube, so I better keep my tongue on that. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly told ministers this week that he will seek cabinet backing for a plan to fully occupy the Gaza Strip, despite objections from within the Israeli Defense Forces. According to reports in Hebrew media, several ministers said Netanyahu used the term occupation of the Strip in private conversations describing his vision for the expansion of military operations in Gaza, a notable shift in tone as the government prepares to discuss the future of the Gaza campaign. You know what's funny? He said the exact same thing back in the early 2000s, back when he was also prime minister. Isn't that kind of funny? Isn't that kind of funny that Netanyahu was prime minister at the time of October 7th and, that's right, 9/11, which kind of makes you think that there's a bit of connection there, huh? Makes you really wonder, makes you really, really want to question what happened on that day. But this is the whole goal. This has been the whole objective for the entire Zionist coalition. They've been stating this in stone since the development, since the occupation of the Palestinian territory. This is not new. The Ynet news site quoted a senior official close to the perimeter as saying the die is cast and we're doing a full occupation of the Gaza Strip. There will be there will be operations even in areas where hostages are being held. So that goes to show you that Israeli politicians never cared about Israeli citizens, that the whole operation, they would rather take their citizens and attack them and even murder them on the spot just to keep this occupation going. This is how diabolical these people are. Diabolical. And you think that holding them accountable and highlighting this on social media is comparable to blood libel? That you're anti-Semitic for pointing this out? No, it's accurate history. It's accurate history. But these people have been brainwashed since birth, and they've been doing this for generations. There will be operations even in areas where hostages are being held. If the chief of staff doesn't agree, he should resign, then added, referring to IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, who reportedly opposes proposed occupation of Gaza. The IDF currently holds control over approximately 75% of the Gaza Strip, but under the new plan, the military would be expected to occupy the remaining territory as well, bringing the entire enclave under Israel control. It is unclear that such a move would mean for the Strip's millions of civilians and for humanitarian goods operating in the enclave. You mean the starvation? You mean how they're deliberately holding back food, water, shelter, necessary medical equipment? They're purposely holding that back to starve the population. That's not Hamas, that's IDF soldiers. The same IDF soldiers that kidnapped and went after the freedom flotillas that were delivering humanitarian goods. That's their only crime, is giving humanitarian goods to the people of Palestine, to the children, to the mothers, to the fathers, to the innocent people. They kidnapped them, and in cases brutally went after them. In case of Christian Smalls, and they took the food away from people in need. So don't give me any lip ever again to tell me that this is a moral superior army, that they're doing the Lord's work, that they're doing the best for humanity, that everyone should be applauding them. After everything that we have witnessed, after everything that's been revealed. Again, this is from an Israeli publication pointing this out. You want to know the truth. If you want to know the truth of what's happening over there, look no further than their own outlets, because they're not afraid to reveal the entirety of this. They're not afraid. U.S. media will cover it up. Canadian media will cover it up. So many other publications will cover it up. Well, here's an example of this. This is an outlet called Honest Reporting Canada. Which, go figure, when you have a name Honest in your organization, it makes you think that that's a cover-up, that's a psyop. And primarily it kind of is. So they said, not everything you see on the news and social media is real. Hamas is hard at work running a propaganda machine, and Canadian media too often plays along. Staged photos, twisted narratives, fake claims of genocide, and much more. Don't fall for it. Israel defends, Hamas deceives. So I see constant posts about this. I see constant posts of this honest reporting outlet going after people that are critical of Israel and are reporting the facts about this operation. And what in particular is amazing to me is that they showed this photo as their proof of evidence. But what they don't tell you, this is an AI generated image that they done. So talk about who's running a propaganda machine when you're using an AI image that you created, you, Honest Reporting Canada, you created to deliberately twist the narratives and propagandize for Israel. It's literally amazing. Literally amazing. And this is supposed to be an outlet for Canada. Honest reporting for Canada. And you're propagandizing for a foreign nation. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, as I stated, I said, so why is every Israeli publication reporting confirmation of the genocide and also confirming Netanyahu's deliberate funding of Hamas for the sole purpose of having an October 7th attack to further wipe out Palestine? If you claim that this AI generated garbage that you purposely did to deceive Canadians is factual, then why are Israeli outlets even confirming that this is a genocide towards Palestine? Why is the Israeli media telling us the truth and not you guys in honest reporting? And here's examples of this. We've shown this before numerous times. And I'm not going to stop exposing this to people because it is very clear the intent here. People want to believe that some mysterious situation that, oh, I don't know how Hamas originated, but they're bad and they're terrorists and they're going after hostages and that's why they're doing the great work and IDF is so great. It's all a giant psyop. It's all a giant psyop. We're being deceived constantly. Just like how we're deceived in the early 2000s about the Iraq invasion, Afghanistan, Ukraine, all Syria, Lebanon, Libya, all the wars that have spanned generations. We have been deceived and lied to like a giant psyop. And this is no different. No different. Because there's the Jerusalem Post confirming Netanyahu's funding for Hamas via Qatar, or do you say Qatar? Some people say both. Enabled October 7th invasion, Shin Bet reveals. The Shin Bet also reveals that SIM cards and sensors along the border were activated ahead of time, but were ignored. Go figure. Go figure. It's like the story of the Epstein jail cell that mysteriously the cameras didn't work. Just a coincidence, I guess. How about this? Times of Israel. For years, Netanyahu propped up Hamas. Now it's been blown up in their face. I've shown this numerous times before. How about this? From Haaretz. Unofficial civilian probe onto October 7th finds Netanyahu led efforts to fund Hamas. So it turns out the thing to be really worried about is not the terrorist group, but the people that actually created the terrorists. It's like how people were afraid to be angry at Frankenstein's monster, but not be angry at the doctor that created Frankenstein. That's literally what this is. You're more angry at the monster, but you don't know how the monster got created. Because terrorists don't happen overnight, especially with the amount of weapons and cash and CIA training that they get. You want to talk about jihadists? You want to talk about the, sleeper cells and all these different countries that are operating these terrorist camps? You mean the CIA trained and operated camps? Remember Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset and got training through the CIA. Almost like they need the terrorists to operate in order to keep these wars going. Like Julian Assange told us. Go figure. Or how about this? How about your own civilians in Israel? The people that were at the music festival. So the people at the time of October 7th. That so many people on social media and they make videos and they cry on cue and they crocodile tears about how horrific that day was. So why is 42 of the survivors at the music festival suing the IDF? If everything somehow is linked to Hamas, why are the people at the music festival suing the country that's hosting the music festival? Maybe because of, I don't know, failing to protect them. Maybe because they got multiple warnings that an attack like this was going to happen and they failed to deal with it. Maybe because IDF Apache helicopters were overhead tracking on their own civilians and targeting them. How cars exploded, how they were using the Hannibal directive to purposely go after their own civilians. We've shown this numerous times. I don't know how to make it any more clear. I really don't know how to make it any more clear. And if you have not got the game that's being unfolded with this, if you have not figured out the psyop at this point, you're either that clueless or you are a bloodthirsty monster. You are part of the sinister plot that you could not care less about even your own civilians. That you just spread your crocodile tears, which I don't want to hear any more about. I never want to hear any of those people going, boo-hoo, the Hoffman. People, nah. You got your wish. You got your wish. You made your bed, now goddamn lie in it. And here's Haaretz, another Israeli publication, just confirming exactly what I said. IDF ordered Hannibal directive on October 7th to prevent Hamas taking soldiers captive. So that means IDF soldiers were in the air in Apache helicopters shooting at their own civilians. So why? So that they can prevent them from being captive by Hamas. And those same hostages that they cry and boo-hoo and pretend to be defending are actually being starved by that same army. So this whole thing is diabolical. And what significant timing that all this occurred right after there was massive protests from Israeli citizens going after Netanyahu for being massively corrupted. That there was criminal charges pending on him. That he's supposed to be convicted right now of state charges. And now he wants to further this genocide to avoid a conviction. So all of this is a giant psyop. And now this is the end result. This is the end game. They just confirmed that they're going to take over. That this idea that, oh, well, we're going to defend people. No, it's over. They got what they want. The bloodthirsty monsters got their wish, and it's too late. That's why honestly, all this talk about, France and the UK and Ireland and Canada now recognizing a Palestinian state, kind of meaningless at this point. It's very meaningless to recognize Palestine as a state when Palestine is done. It's completely annihilated. How can you recognize a state that's not livable? How can you recognize a state that completely got wiped out, that they're killing off the population? But now they can because it's over and they feel safer to do it. But yet there's going to be some yuppie on social media boo-hooing, crying about it, that, oh, there's still there's a moss over there. Because to them, it's never going to end. These are bloodthirsty, diabolical, supremacist people. These are Israeli supremacists. Again, if you look into it, if you look at what they say, go look at the interview that Abby Martin put together. That highlights exactly the sinister mindset that these people have. That's been through generations of mind control and programming. And it is far more dangerous and far more it's intense than any other extremist group I can even imagine. Even the Ku Klux Klan couldn't hold a candle to a Zionist. It's just that diabolical. And they got their wish. And it's just absolutely awful. It's devastating. And yet I know that it's not going to be the end for them. They're going to keep this going until someone actually has the balls to call this out, to actually stop this. And the great way to start is to cut off the funding for Israel. I don't care how much of an allyship we are. Cut them off. You call this a good friend? I call this an enemy. I call this an enemy of the world. Cut them off completely of their finances. Do not give them ever single dime. I don't care how much blackmail or extortion they'll put onto people. Because this has to end.